It often begins quietly. Not with an explosion, but with a slow unraveling. A sudden exhaustion that doesn't go away after sleep. A fog that doesn't lift with rest. For many autistic people, burnout doesn't announce itself clearly, it creeps in, disguised as failure, mistaken for laziness, misinterpreted as depression. But inside, there is a deeper truth: this is not weakness. This is autistic burnout. And it demands to be understood. Autistic burnout is not like ordinary stress or temporary fatigue. It is the body and mind reaching their limit from years, sometimes decades, of camouflaging, masking, and performing in a world built on neurotypical expectations. The cost of constant adaptation, unrelenting sensory input, social pressure, and the need to fit in slowly drains the internal battery. Eventually, there's nothing left. And the shutdown begins. People experiencing autistic burnout often find themselves losing skills they once had. Words don't come easily. Sensitivities spike. Executive function collapses. Even small tasks, like brushing teeth or answering a message, feel overwhelming. But this is not regression. It's the brain's way of protecting itself after years of overextension. Recovery begins by accepting that this depletion is real, valid, and not your fault. For years, many autistic adults didn't even have language for what they were experiencing. They blamed themselves for falling apart, especially when they had been high-functioning by external standards. But now, through the stories of autistic writers and researchers, we have the words: burnout, recovery, reclamation. These aren't just clinical terms, they're lifelines. They validate what so many have lived silently. Recovery doesn't come from pushing through. It comes from radical rest. Not just naps or vacations, but a profound kind of disengagement from the world's demands. The first step is unmasking, not performing neurotypicality, not forcing social scripts, not pretending to be okay. Many describe it as taking off a costume that had grown too tight. Underneath the mask is someone aching to breathe freely. But rest alone is not enough. Healing also requires retreat, stepping away from what harms, what overstimulates, what exhausts. That might mean quitting a job, saying no to people-pleasing, or turning off devices. It feels scary. But it's also sacred. Burnout recovery is not about becoming productive again. It's about returning to self. Giving your nervous system the space to regulate. Letting your brain relearn calm. One of the most powerful tools in recovery is sensory nourishment. Instead of avoiding all stimulation, the goal is to find the right kind. Gentle textures, soft lighting, rhythmic movement, weighted blankets, quiet music, these can soothe a frayed nervous system. For many, reconnecting with nature becomes essential: the rustle of leaves, the feel of soil, the silence of the sky. These small sensory moments rebuild resilience. During burnout, even words can feel heavy. Communication might need to shift. Autistic people in recovery often benefit from text-based conversations, alternative communication, or simply being allowed silence. Trusted relationships, where they don't have to mask, become lifelines. True allies don't demand performance. They create space for stimming, for pausing, for being. A key piece of healing is reframing success. In a society obsessed with achievement, burnout recovery requires redefining what it means to be doing well. Maybe it's not working full-time. Maybe it's not being social every weekend. Maybe it's waking up without panic. Maybe it's feeling safe in your own skin. These quieter versions of success are no less meaningful. They are, in fact, the foundation of sustainable living. Self-knowledge becomes a compass. Autistic adults recovering from burnout often rediscover who they are without the pressure to perform. They explore special interests not as escapism but as medicine. Deep dives into a passion, be it insects, music theory, maps, or fan fiction, provide joy, structure, and identity. What others may call obsession, they reclaim as autistic joy. Many learn to create life on their terms. That might mean embracing asynchronous routines, using visual schedules, relying on comfort objects, or creating low-demand environments. These accommodations aren't indulgences, they're survival tools. Recovery teaches that thriving requires designing your life to suit your neurotype, not squeezing yourself into a neurotypical mold. There's often grief along the way. Grief for the time lost to burnout. For the relationships that didn't understand. For the self that disappeared under the pressure. But there is also relief. In finally naming what happened. In realizing you are not broken. In knowing others have walked this path and returned whole. Community plays a quiet but vital role. Online spaces, peer support groups, and autistic-led writings offer solidarity. Listening to other autistic voices, especially those who have survived burnout and come through stronger, provides hope. You don't have to explain your experience from scratch. You're not alone. There's a language here. A shared knowing. Some days will still feel hard. Recovery is not linear. There will be setbacks. But now, you recognize the warning signs. You pace yourself. You protect your energy. You say no without guilt. You stop apologizing for your needs. Burnout teaches you boundaries that no one else gave you permission to claim.